Okay, so a guilty verdict was reached in this Jonathan Majors case. If you are following this case closely and reading reputable sources, looking at the evidence that the prosecution was putting forth, this verdict will not surprise you. However, if you have been reading shady, clickbaity, unreliable sources, blog posts that don't cite shit, like maybe then you'd be surprised by this verdict, but the rest of us are not. Okay, so we're going to cut right to the chase. As usual, the link to this article that we're going to be going through is going to be in my description box, so check it out. So they're saying that Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of reckless assault in the 3rd degree, and he's also guilty of harassment. The verdict was reached after about 4 hours of deliberation. It was spread across 3 days. Jonathan Majors sat with his attorneys, with family members, and his girlfriend, Megan Good. And I'm really rolling my eyes really hard at Miss Megan. I'm really rolling them hard. Okay? Yeah, they were all behind him as the verdict was read. Sentencing is set for February 6th. Jeez, gotta bring in the new year. That's so wow, Christmas coming, New Year coming. You can't even celebrate that shit for real. Just spending that entire time thinking about what you're about to get in February. That's so wild. So they said the charges can carry a sentence of up to 1 year in prison. So I guess we'll see what they end up, giving him in a couple months. So Majors faced 4 charges. And of course, all this happened after he called 911 on March 25th when he said he found Grace Jabari unconscious in their apartment. Police arrested Majors after finding apparent injuries on Jabari. We know a laceration behind her ear, a bruised finger, fractured finger. Major pleaded not guilty to all charges. The 4th charge of harassment is about the allegation that Majors threw Jabari back into the car as she tried to exit. The defense said, basically, no, you weren't thrown in the car, back in the car, you were placed back in the car. I'm just okay. So yeah, she was apparently placed. That's what defense said. His lawyers were saying she was placed in the car to stop her from running into traffic. They said that action is captured on surveillance video. So here we get to a key point for all the nig-nogs that I know are going to try it, because y'all tried it in the Tory Lanez case too. The charges against Majors were brought by the state of New York rather than by Jabari herself. Let's clear that. Make sure you understand that. The case was a criminal trial rather than civil, meaning the burden of proof is higher for the jury, who had to find proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on each charge. The arrest has already had implications on what had been the biggest year in Majors' career. His publicity firm, we already know, and management company had dropped him. Disney-owned Searchlight Features removed Magazine Dreams from its release calendar. So this movie was supposed to drop on December 8th with him starring as Killian. But in October, Disney or whoever, Searchlight Features removed it from the calendar. And as far as Marvel goes, I think y'all need to just go ahead and fully commit to the Doctor Doom thing that y'all was about to do, y'all was trying to do, as a villain for the next phase or whatever, because what y'all were doing with Kang, it wasn't making no sense to me anyway. Like I said, Thanos seemed 100 trillion times more scary than Kang, was, and y'all was really trying to build him up, and I was still not shaking in my boots like I was shaking when Thanos came around. So I was just y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all need to just, go check out youtube.com/Avatar Adrian for all my nerdy stuff, because I was about to get into it right here, but I'm just y'all need to go ahead and do Doctor Doom. Get into it, give us what we need. Because this shit y'all had going wasn't giving me anything. Anyway, just check my description for my other YouTube channel. Like I said, youtube.com/Avatar Adrian. I talk about so much stuff over there: Marvel, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, anime, anything superhero related. I reviewed The Boys over there. I reviewed Gen V. I reviewed The Wheel of Time. I love Wheel of Time. So yeah, just check that out. I had to do a quick little plug. I'm sorry. So in a statement after the verdict, an attorney for Grace Jabari said they were gratified by the guilty verdict and hope it inspires other victims of assault. They said, "We are gratified to see justice served by today's guilty verdict. Ms. Jabari testified publicly and truthfully, even though reliving these traumatic events on the witness stand was obviously painful. We are grateful to the jurors and the judge for their attention and patience and to the DA's office, blah, blah, blah. Ms. Jabari's resolve to see this case through to the end demonstrates her tremendous strength and resilience. Unfortunately for every survivor like Ms. Jabari who comes forward to hold their abuser accountable, there are many others who believe they cannot. We hope that her actions will inspire other survivors to speak their truth and seek justice, the statement reads. So here it just says that they approached it as a DV case. The defense tried to come for Grace Jabari's credibility, of course. Majors apparently didn't show a lot of emotion except for tearing up during the closing arguments from his attorney. As she said, his fear of what happens when a black man in America calls 911 came true. Like they really trying to reach for it. They're trying to reach for it. Jonathan's lawyers claimed that Jabari was actually the one who was the aggressor, pointing to the fact that Major's coat was ripped and the fact that Jabari is seen on surveillance video running after Majors down the street after the initial alleged altercation in the car. Jabari said that she ran after him to find out who sent the text. Are you texting other bitches? Yes or no? Yes or no? Sis said, I really would like to know that. I'd like to know that. So Jonathan's lawyers further argued that Jabari was uninjured after leaving the car and had gone revenge partying. I've never heard of what the fuck is revenge partying? I ain't never heard that shit in my life, bro. Revenge partying at a club where she bought champagne on Majors' credit card while still being able to use her right hand, which she said had been injured. I'm just like, okay. Maybe if someone rock my shit, maybe I want to go tour with the girls for a little bit before I go home and cry like, bitch, what do you mean, girl? What you mean? And yes, maybe I'll do it on your credit card. Stop playing with me. And if he injured one finger, she's still going to be able to use her hand. It's just like, girl, what? Anyway, Jabari testified that she had sought help from 3 strangers on the street after the first altercation in the car, and they invited her to a club, which she accepted in order to seek comfort after the alleged incident. Duh, like what? His lawyer implied that Jabari had injured herself later after drinking throughout the evening, returning to their shared apartment and taking sleeping pills. Majors, who had stayed at the hotel after leaving the car, returned to the apartment in the morning and called 911 after reporting that he found Jabari unconscious. In addition to the video surveillance footage, which also included footage of Jabari at the club, evidence shown to the jury by prosecutors included photos Jabari took of her bruised hand and laceration behind her ear while back at the apartment, and body camera footage from officers when they arrived. And here is another key. Prosecutors also introduced a series of texts into evidence which basically helped to establish a pattern of abuse, which explained why Jabari had not immediately told police officers that Majors had caused the injuries. So here you have it, like you're trying to, or the defense is trying to portray Jabari as this person, this frantic person, emotional person who injured herself, and that's the whole entire reason. Now she's mad, she's revenge partying, blah, 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 whatever. Meanwhile, the actual evidence that the prosecutors gave to the courts has shown a pattern, allegedly, whatever, shown a pattern of this kind, the same kind of abuse that brought us to the court to, in the first place, right now. So it's like, you're trying to do all this runaround, but the pattern of abuse has already been established by the evidence. It's just, I mean, like I said, if you've been following this case, to me, this verdict is not surprising at all. It's really not. So that's why I said before the Nignogs all, start talking and, commenting and shit. It's just like, y'all got to read actual articles, read from actual journalists, not these, wannabe whatever ass bloggers that are just, especially the misogynist ones that come down here taking something out of context just so they can be like, well, see, and it's just like, no, we're looking at the entire case, we're looking at the established pattern of abuse, girl, and we're looking at the evidence, and they came to a verdict, and that's just the tea. Like, I feel like it might have been harder for him to be convicted if there wasn't already a pattern that was established. Like, if there wasn't already an easy way for them to prove that behavior like this has happened before. So it's just like, I don't know what do the Knickknacks want us to do, girl? Like, I don't know what y'all better talk to the evidence, because that's the only thing that y'all can negotiate with at this point. Well, you can't anymore because the gavel already came down. Anyway, so yup, that's the update. This whole entire situation is so unfortunate. I wish healing onto every, victim that has had to deal with something like this. I guess we're gonna come back in February to see what they're talking about when it comes to the sentencing, but yeah, it's gonna be very interesting watching like these machines, Disney, Marvel, whatever, try and pivot and maneuver around all of this. But yeah, very unsurprising development to me. Thank y'all so much for watching. Love y'all so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn day.
I don't want your nigga, you crazy. That nigga too lazy. I need me a nigga who can tame me. Switch screen, coming through and make your nigga switch teams. I'm feeling really pussy, got that shit.